We're live, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, look at
Yeah.
this. Look at the background.
Hold on to your sanity. Did y'all get that?
We heard hold on to your sanity, I think.
Welcome to another edition of Two Old Farts Making Noises. It's Steve and Dave. Come on, gentlemen. Let's do this.
Thank you, but you're on the show too. This is your show, actually. So, so it's not really Steve and Dave. It's Steve, Dave, and Roald. So,
Okay.
yeah, because this is all about you today.
Me too. Okay, fantastic. All right.
I know, right? This is it. As long as we get to do a whole bunch of voices and everything. So there's so much to start. Now, just so anyone that's listening knows, we're going to do a show with Mr. Woods every other week. So the next show will be December 6th. That's this gentleman over there in the corner. Here, just so everybody knows how they look at that. Look at that person right there, huh? How sexy is that? There you go. Ooh, very pretty.
And he's with us to take courtesy of Toshiba generators, I think.
Toshiba, I think so. And then also, the first of the year, we will be doing these live. So if you are a person that listens to this and you want to be part of the show, you'll be able to give us comments. Not that we're going to read them, but you can give us comments and we'll be live because, as you know, we don't edit our show. And we'll see how that's going to play itself out. So there's lots going on, Mr. Woods. Always a pleasure to have you. Now that you're going to be here every other week, we asked the kimchi chick to join us, but her brother came in. He's a K-pop attorney, apparently. Well, he's an attorney, but before that, he tried to be K-pop. So we said, listen, at some point, you have to come on the show and talk about K-pop because Mr. Woods now has done all this research and he is ready to go. So we will see if she shows up on the 6th of December. So
okay, well, we'll be ready.
Can we ask you then, Roald? All this research that you did you do it under candlelight, or did you actually have enough luxury? I get straight in there, mate.
Let's just start. Let's just start with that. The country can't pay for diesel, and we'll just go from there.
Let's just say that he's on a generator, whatever that means.
I know.
I am on. There is currently no power flowering.
Wow, you have a nice country. You flower.
Yeah,
I get flowered once.
Wire thingy. So this is we are self-powered. I am self-powered today, and I will be for the next hour or two. Yeah.
Okay, so everything around you is in darkness.
They call it. There's a thing called. It's called load shedding. You shed your load. Which when I was a kid growing up, load shedding.
Yeah, that's a different connotation. Yeah,
entirely. That meant something else.
And when they came up with this load shedding thing to describe these outages, I thought, you guys really didn't think that through very long, did you? I mean, did you? This wasn't a bunch of guys getting together. Hey, man, we do load shedding. I mean, that's what we're doing right now. We are shedding our load.
Okay. And can I tell you, I did that the other day after a beautiful Mexican meal, and I enjoyed it very much. And I shedded a whole bunch of load. I think I lost 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Or in South Africa, 3.5 kilos. So I was very excited.
Montezuma's revenge, that is, Stephen, I think.
Well, that's why you do it. So it's nice.
I looked at a webcam last night, I think somewhere in one of the big South African cities, and it appeared, the lights all seem to be out. But, I don't think you have like a total blackout because I could see that the buses and everything, they still had all the lights on inside. How does that work?
Well. What is going on is it's kind of like a staggered thing. So they switch off those areas and then those areas and then these areas and then that one. So there's never this national blackout. It's just certain areas. It's a staggered thing. So we got a little app that we get. We have to study it carefully. It's like a timetable of when we won't have power. And most of the time they stick with it. We should be so grateful. And that's why sometimes you will see power on. But a lot of the companies are getting flack because they have these giant corporate offices which are lit like Christmas trees at night. So the power runs and the Jennies run and the inverters run and the solar panels keep going. So it's a little confusing. If you drive past my house at night, we've got batteries and generators and the odd solar panel. It kind of looks like we've escaped the whole thing. I've got a son who's studying electricity and power and stuff, and we're all hooked up. So we're kind of fortunate. We're not really suffering too much, but there are a lot of people who perhaps, every time the power goes off, their business stops. They're suffering. It's the ordinary man in the street. I mean, I will tell you, the government guys, there are streets of where these government officials stay, no outages, nothing, zero. So you've got this hierarchy of bollocks that's going on in the country right now, which is not dissimilar to what it used to be. It's just the players are different. That's all. That's
and now they do it, and now they do it under apartheid. They're doing it. Look, we have no apartheid. We have no this. We have no that. Look at what Nelson Mandela did for us.
The players are different, but the bollocks are the same. Is that what you're
Absolutely.
I think that's everywhere.
That is the crazy. Exactly. I think what has happened is this country's just become like every other country on Earth, except without power.
Right. Well, I mean, if you look, we talked about this yesterday when you and I were talking before about other things. But if you look at China,
are we having another show where you guys are talking about what you spoke about the day before without me?
Yep. Yeah. Basically, we take copious notes, and we would invite you, but we know that you're sleeping, so we don't want to bother you. But no, but we talk about. We talked about. You're welcome. Very little. We talked about China, and we talked about Xi, and if you look at like what Mao Zedong did. And you look at what it is today, Deng Xiaoping was very clear in saying, we are communists, but we're actually capitalists. And what Xi has done is he's taken the best of A and the best of B, if you will, and he's made like a Chinese menu. He's made C. And C is what he's doing, which is making it, we're going to do communist capitalism, but it's going to be state-owned now. So if you look at everything they're doing and pulling everything back, it's history repeating itself. I had a friend once that said, history never repeats itself. I said, you need to read a book. Because history is constantly repeating itself, and if you don't read a book, and you don't know, and if you go back, and we talked about this as well, right? If you go back to the 1400s, China really ruled at 1400s. China was sailing the sea, ruling the world. They did everything. And around 1409 or 1410, Zhao was the ruler, told his guys, no, that's it. We're closing China down. No more. And that's kind of what he's doing now, right? They ruled everything for this period. They're closing it down. But then again, people keep forgetting that China does, like, they plan 1,000 years ahead. Yeah. So them closing down for just say 10 or 20 or 50 years, to them, that's like, okay, we'll be fine. They're planning, they plan for the next century, for the next. I don't think people realize that.
They're very patient. And that is, say what you like about the Chinese, they are very patient. They strategize really well. I know I'm getting sponsored by China at this point, but I'm just saying they're really. I'm not saying you have to follow everything they do, but their patience is something you've got to admire. You've got to admire that. They're not. They're not
apart from the patients that are dying of COVID, of course. But that's
well, that's okay, because listen, there's 3 billion of them. You're missing a couple. Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
Talking about a 10 or 15-year plan. Did you hear this thing this morning from the European Space Agency, where they want to put massive solar farms into space?
Sure, let's go with that.
True.
No, I didn't hear that. That's good for them.
And when asked, well, what's happening? How does this electricity come down to Earth? They said, well, it'll come down in the form of radio waves.
Yes, I've heard that before.
And then it will be flipped over. So they want to test it. They want a shitload of money now, so they can, start to test it. But that's the plan, to have these massive solar farms, which means that nobody would be out without electricity.
Well, there was, the FT did a story on this about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and actually made a video of it, and how it's supposed to work, and which is interesting. But I go back to Nicholas Tesla, not the Ponzi scheme, the car company, or that other guy. What's his name? Musk, the guy who owns Twitter.
Allegedly, Stephen.
The allegedly Ponzi scheme company. Yes. But if they would have let Nicholas Tesla build his towers that was going to do the dark energy, the dark matter all over the world, you wouldn't have the problems you have today. And JP Morgan was funding it until JP Morgan was told, I guess, by Edison or somebody, and the gas company's like, if this happens, we don't make money, which means you don't make money. So of course, because humans are wonderful and they all want to help each other and altruistic. It was sort of like, well, then screw that. We're just going to tear down your tower, which they did. And now we pay for power and people can't afford it. Because why? Because they got greedy and they could have made money on somewhere else. But Tesla Like I've read some of his books and his papers, and fascinating stuff. You know, and that's what Musk is kind of doing. He's taking all of the patents from the 1880s and early 1900s, and he's like, look at boring, and look at. I'm like, dude, this has already been done. Like they already have patents on this. You're not really coming up with anything new. And it's very interesting that people are like, oh, Elon's that. No, you're like an idiot. You just happen to get lucky with PayPal.
And he's doing it for the benefit of all mankind.
Yeah, and that mankind is called Elon Musk. So, you know.
Do you know how many Teslas are driving around in his home country right now?
2. Just being, you know.
1.
Really? Oh my God.
And it was brought out. They don't.
You can't charge them up, obviously.
They're not sold
You
yet.
Can't charge them up. Where
Really?
are you going to get electric?
Thank you. That's why.
Yeah. Can't get
There is
electric.
no power. Although Dave, no, in defense, we've got a bunch of charging stations for, I mean, the EV thing is kicking off here, but I've just replaced my vehicle and I said, well, look, I support the idea. That'll be great. We're just not there yet.
Yep.
And this is quite what people don't realize. I know Steve realizes it, and I know you realize it, but I think a lot of people who think in certain parts of the country think that South Africa is a state of the US or East Coast of Europe or something or whatever. Right. They don't realize just how big this place is. And you need an awful lot of charging stations quite close together for something like that to really work. And we're just not there yet. I know some of the companies, like some of the motor car companies, they've got charging stations on the route from Joburg to Cape Town. So that's fine. So if you want to do the long haul, it's there. But around the city, and you don't really want to be breaking down in the city, there just aren't enough charging stations. So it's not really a thing. The reason why
talking about huge countries, you know, of course, that Holland is a huge country.
Not really.
Exactly.
Not really. They've got 2 charging stations, covers the whole country.
Pretty much. Depends how long you stay.
Everybody's been pushed to go towards hybrids. Everybody's been pushed to go towards full EV vehicles. If that happened, the country would collapse because there's not enough electricity to do it. Just in Holland. So
Norway.
This whole story, you know, which country does it stack up? Not here, that's for sure.
Well, even in the United States, the problem is we may have the power, but nobody wants to sit and charge your car for 45 minutes to an hour. And the issue is, and here's the other issue, which I don't think people think about. But wait, here's let's look at this issue. I'm gonna charge my car electrically. Okay, that's supposedly cleaner and better. But if you start taking into the cost of how I make the electric, everything I have to do everything, it actually is dirtier. And some of the things I've read, and I mean, I'm not reading like conspiracy theory, like the Financial Times, Harvard Review, things. Actually, it's equal or dirtier than just using petrol in the car, which is fascinating to me because, you know, the way the electric is produced and how it pollutes and it was just interesting to read all that. And then also the other thing is, forgetting that, if you still want to use an electric car, a battery with 300 miles sucks. Now I know Lucid, the Chinese company, they have a battery that does, I think, 500 and plus. And theirs will charge you like in 20 minutes. I'm okay with that. Like I can go, if I'm taking a trip, I can plug in my car, go to the restroom, you know, and chill. But that has a lot to do with it. It's like these cars that do 300 miles, that's great if I just want to drive around this locally. But if I want to take a trip, that's a long ass charge.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well,
so what about you, Roald? Did you buy a hybrid when you bought your new car?
No, it's gas. So I would not. I'm not a fan. We're not there yet. The point is, we're not there yet. I support the principle, but I really don't want to. I need reliable transportation, and that, in my view, right now, it just isn't there, and the distances are too vast. Right now there's no power. So what if I was somewhere and I needed to charge my vehicle, and they go, "Well, sorry, so there's just no power." All right, I'll just sit here for 3 hours. It's just ridiculous. So the grid is not reliable yet. Never mind the actual the location of the charging stations. There just isn't, the power to them is not reliable. Right. But I just wanted to say something. First of all, Steve mentioned the dirty aspect of it, or the polluting aspect of it. The problem I've always had with this is what happens to those batteries. That's the first thing. Yeah. That is a real, where do batteries go when they die? Because that is an issue. I mean, it's all very well, and they don't last that long. They don't last as long as people think they do. The other thing is, I will say this, just in defense of the time, I watched a show. I think one of the programs in the UK, one of the driving programs, went to Norway to look at how that works. And one of the I guess motorcar companies in Norway have produced this EV. What happens is when you need to charge, you drive to the charging station. It looks like a little hut. And
I've seen this.
It guides you in, and then it literally takes the battery out from underneath the car, puts another one. It takes about 5 minutes, and you got a brand new, charged battery. So that's how the timing goes. But it still doesn't address the question of how is the battery made? How do they charge it? What are the resources they use to charge that battery? Because you can't have a battery charging a battery. So something's charging the battery, whether it be wind, fair enough. What happens to the battery? Where do they go? What happens to it?
Well, I think that the undercar charger is Neon, which is a Chinese company. And Musk, I think, tried to do the same thing with the Teslas. And I know Mercedes have tested it here as well. Because literally what you do is you buy the car for a reduced price, just literally as a framework. And then you pay a monthly charge on top of that because you have to keep going, and you rent the power unit. But again, you have the same issue. If nobody, I mean, in Holland, Shell has got this huge investment in fast charge, fastnet, whatever it is. So they're putting that with all the pump stations, gas stations for Shell. Again, going back to what Stephen said, not a problem if you're having a cup of coffee, or you go to the restroom, and of course that you have a car which could be charged up at speed, because that's another thing. These batteries that they're currently using, the more expensive the battery, the quicker you can charge it up. But you have to have these massive cables to charge it all up. If not, the whole thing just explodes. And as regarding explosions, we've seen quite a few Teslas here. We've seen quite a few EVs here, which literally, when they break down, the recovery companies won't take them. So it's too dangerous. Or they have to sort of, cover them in water or whatever, or do something. It's a complete nightmare, and it's full of all these wonderful bits and pieces of ideas, but nobody seems to make. We've got this jigsaw puzzle, but none of us are looking at the same picture.
Yeah, I think in principle, I have to just go. I want to go on record saying I think it's a good idea. The principle is good. Renewable energy is a good idea. I think I don't have a problem with the idea. Just in case anybody is getting the idea we're not sort of keen on. I think it's a good idea, but I just don't think we're there yet. I don't think we've figured out a nice clean. Basically, we're looking for a clean way to produce renewable energy without any consequences. And I don't think we're there. Things like this, not this particular thing, but the whole bottled water thing, for example, is an example of that. Where do all those bottles go? Where do the straws go? It seems all cool that we're drinking this spring water in bottles, but we want to be healthy, but we don't think of where does that end up? Where does all that waste end up? Because as a waste, we produce waste.
Exactly, and we have this huge plastic soup floating around in the oceans. And the irony about the bottles is, of course, that it's only now in Europe who pride themselves as being as green as they possibly can. But most of the stuff, I have a separate bin. I have to put all my plastics in. But I would imagine nearly 60-70% of what I put in that plastic bin is single-use plastic.
Yeah.
So I think we all have that, but it's sort of there's got to be a better way.
It gets sorted, so the 30% goes out and gets recycled. And what happens to the rest? They burn.
See, I don't understand why we don't go. Like when I was a kid, we used to get milk in the cardboard milk containers. I don't understand what happened to that. That was easy. Well, you do stuff with it.
When I first came to Holland, everything was in bottles. You know,
yeah, it's ridiculous.
In the UK, we had this culture of bottled milk.
Yeah,
But,
I don't know.
Yeah, you know about the cartons, aren't there? We don't have those here either anymore. That's crazy. Just plastic.
How are you going to put a kid on the back of a plastic container when they go missing? You got to use the cardboard ones. I'm just saying.
Oh, Steve, children don't go missing anymore, don't you know? Yeah,
I didn't know that. All right, I'm sorry. It's it's a different world.
Are these containers, these plastic containers for the milk, were they recyclable? 100% recyclable?
I think they are, but there's different grades of plastic. And I remember there was one, if there's a plastic that was a 1 through whatever, it was like, if it sat in the sun, it would leak petroleum products into whatever liquid it was. And if it was 5 or above, it went. I'm like, I just literally give me the old fashioned cans, or give me a cardboard container, or give me glass. But stop with this ridiculous, we're going to save the planet, but I'm going to kill all the people stuff. This is kind of like, now, because we all believe in the lizard people and that's their ultimate goal, that's okay. But but until then,
yeah, well, you missed all of that. You know, you missed all the lizards, mate.
The lizard people talk we had the other day.
Yeah,
and UFOs. We had that.
UFOs.
I know about it.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show.
Well.
We're not going to go. We won't do that. We won't do that today. But I'm just saying that's a whole nother show we can do.
I'm concerned that you know about it, Roald.
Yeah.
Can I just say that I was happy that things went the way they did in the midterms over your part of the world, Steve.
Oh, we're going to change. Yes. Democracy lived.
I think it was good.
Yes.
The point is, and it works around the world. You don't want one guy to have too much power. Even if he's a good guy, you don't want one guy. And quite frankly, that is how the system there works. And you know what? I hear so many people in the States moaning about it. There's fighting. But as someone who watches it coming from here and having lived partially in the UK as well, I think it's a great system. There just needs to be a little bit more listening. All I can say is it's fine. You know, nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. Just chat. Right. Anyway, how did I get to this kumbaya moment? I don't know.
That's because we were talking about the lizard people taking over the world. But anyway, I agree with you that democracy was saved, and most of the people who were election deniers lost their races. So I was happy about that.
System there. It works. It's fine.
It worked. People went out and voted.
I mean, there are places in the world that use beans to count votes. You don't have that, so don't worry about it. It's fine.
What happens to all the people who denied the
nothing?
results?
They'll go back. They'll go back to their real jobs.
You know what's funny is you had people wanting to be elected, and you realize that's an election, right? And then there's going to have to be that but you don't think the elections work. So how do you expect to be elected?
Yep.
It's what? So you put yourself in the game, but you don't like the refereeing,
right?
What is it? Pick one. Either don't go to the game, or if you're in the game, those are the rules. Be at the table, figure them out, and just grow up. If you're going to lose, you're going to lose. That's just it. Oh, what? We'll accept if we win.
And I think in 2024, you're going to look at Biden and DeSantis, because Fox News has already written off Trump. Murdoch has written off Trump, which is fucked. Oh, my God. Are you kidding? The New York Post.
I know. I'm seeing some of the reports.
The New York Post has already dumped Trump. Like, Trump should literally, Donnie, you should just sit and play golf in Florida, and that's about it. And call it a day, because I think DeSantis is the golden boy now.
He's got a new job. He's back on Twitter, and he's going to be telling us about how wonderful it would be if you all voted for him.
Has he actually gone back?
I think. Didn't Elon say he was going to put him on? Yeah. No, I think Elon put him back.
Elon says he can go. Yeah.
Elon put him back.
He's been banned. Yeah, he's had his account restored, but I don't. He said he's not going to go on.
Oh yeah, because he just wants to see whether or not
he won't be able to resist. He won't be able to resist.
He's got like 90. But will Twitter would be able to resist? Was he got 90 million followers or something? An absurd amount of people. Are Twitter going to say no to that?
Can I do something crazy? I'm going to defend the man. This is what's weird.
I'm going to go for a close-up.
I'm going to defend him.
You thought lizards was a bad idea? Come on,
the lizard people. It's crazy.
Wait. I'm going to defend him because you know what? He's just a little baby that he was handed a company. He hasn't had a bad life. I can't say that if I had a really wealthy father who gave me a couple of billion or whatever it was to do, play, start up, and said, there you go, Donald, off you go. We don't like your older brother, Fred. He doesn't do what he's told.
Right.
You're good. You're okay. I mean, he was his father's son. His father loved him. Forget all the other crap. He just went along. He was a playboy. He enjoyed the money. I would have enjoyed the money. He enjoyed the attention. Who wouldn't have? And then he just went through life. He's gone through life, and people have just said yes to him. He's gotten everything he wants. Now there he is as a 70-odd-year-old man, and he's never been disciplined. He's never been disappointed. He's never had anything go wrong for him. And I must say, if I had walked in his shoes, I can't say that I would have been much different. I would have enjoyed.
I have a question now. I have a question now. Wait.
The question is, would your hair also be orange?
No. Wait, I have a real question though. So to play this out. So on the 20th of January, with all your undiscipline and being a 5-year-old baby at 76 years old, would you have tried an insurrection?
No.
Then there you go. So he needs to be punished. I'm sorry, you need to be punished. If you try to overthrow the American government, you need to be punished.
No, I'm not even going. I'm not even. What I'm saying is, he's just been completely unrestrained and undisciplined his whole life. No one has ever held him back. So he has zero impulse control. You know, when you're sitting there in the traffic and you go, oh, I'd like to shoot that guy with a rocket because he pulled in front of me. You're not actually going to do it. You have people, you have men and women who get frustrated with each other and they think, oh, I wish I could kill that bitch or that guy. They don't actually do it. They don't do it. You have this weird crap that goes through your mind. You're a human. Emotions flow. You don't actually, it's called being an adult. You go, all right. But if you're not an adult, you're like a child and you go, I'll have that. I'll do that. I want that. I'm going to act that way. And nothing stops you. And I don't think he had a clue what he was getting himself into. Or maybe he did. Maybe he did. I don't think, this is what I'm going to say about him. And I could be totally wrong. And I apologize in advance. But I don't think sometimes he has a clue of the effect of what he says and what the consequences of that might be. And he just stands back and watches the shrapnel and goes, yeah, that's kind of cool. He didn't know that was, did he want that? I don't know, but he certainly enjoys the shrapnel. He's enjoying the attention. The January 6th thing was abysmal, but he's enjoying the attention. He's enjoying everyone talking about it. He loves that. The people that died in that, well, I don't know if he cares. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he has a conscience because he's never had to have one. I don't know. I don't know. He's just unrestrained.
I would have to agree with you on that because I said that to myself when he came to power. I think the world seemed to have been surprised about the fact that he came to power. But I think the most surprised person was Donald himself.
Yeah,
he thought
oh shit,
now I've got to do something.
Yeah. I guess what I'm trying to say is, look, some dreadful things have happened. You can't excuse that. The January 6th thing was cool, but he was like a kid that stood up in the playground and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just kind of did this and went into the teacher's lunchroom or whatever room and just kind of drew stuff all over the walls and said stuff? How cool would that be? And they went, yeah. And he went, okay, let's do it. And I think he had no clue. I don't think he had an idea of the consequences. I don't think so. And of course, he's supported by an army of people who have latched onto him, who support him in his BS. And they have denied everything and tried to sweep it out the way because. But people said, like, he said, go kill Mike Pence. I mean, I don't care. I don't care if you've been a playboy your whole life. You have to be punished for that. If I go on a national thing and go do this, and you're going to go to jail. So, like I said, and all the stuff that's coming out, like people were calling and go send in the army, save the Capitol. He didn't care. So I understand your point. He has no discipline, but there's got to be a point where, like, dude, you got to stop. Like listen. I don't, whether he goes to jail or doesn't go to jail, not material. But he needs to be made an example of, because my concern is it may not happen in 24 or 28 or whenever, but somewhere there's going to be another one. And if you don't do something about this, where the government says, listen, you're a bad boy. And even if you're under house arrest for the rest of your life in Mar-a-Lago, that's not a bad deal, but that's it. You cannot be in politics. You cannot do.
They've got to put their foot down. If they don't put their foot down, when it does happen, you can't go, we didn't see it coming, because it's already came and left.
Can I draw a parallel with something local here to that? All right. So what we had in this country is we had, well, everybody knows what happened here. Right. So people were replaced. We had new people who looked a little different, and that's how things went. That's kind of how I see it. Things were changed. All right, good. And then they got into office, they got into power, and they thought, well, this is a really nice office. And they literally became like the people they replaced. And they went thundering on, and all kinds of things happened. Now we've got trials and hearings, and there's a plethora of corruption charges that are being leveled against lots of people. They call it state capture. My point is, right now, where we are, November 2022, not a lot of people are sitting in jail for stealing a lot of money. Right. And that scares off investors. Now, in terms of what's going on, what happened in the Capitol or anything else, if there aren't consequences, like you say, Steve, if there aren't proper consequences that people can see, it makes the whole thing a sham. That's why people don't invest here yet, because investors don't see these corrupt people in jail. They don't see that. They don't see the consequences of bad actions. By the same token, what you said, I completely agree. Whatever the intentions were, whatever the idiocy that was going through heads, consequences need to happen. And I really hope they do happen. But there's a lot of players that have been put in jail, have been sentenced. But you're right. Something has to happen to him. He's, as you say, whether he intentionally thought of it, whether he was just being a bully, whether he thought it was cool. Like I say, I don't know the man. I don't know him personally, but he did some really silly things. He was in a tremendous position of power. And even all his people around him said they were concerned that he wasn't saying enough to stop these lunatics doing what they did. Right.
But he started it, though. That if you started and then he didn't do anything to save anybody.
He probably, I don't think he had a clue. He was just giving a speech and people were looking at him. And
no. That's where I disagree. I think he realized that he had his followers like a messiah. I think really, this is my belief. I could be totally wrong, but from the testimony and from the Senate hearings and everything, I think he was like, okay, I've got all my magnets here, or whatever they're called. I'm going to send them to the Capitol. They're going to kill Mike Pence. They're going to get Pelosi. They're going to. I think he really figured if that happened, then the government would be in such hazare for you non-Jewish people. That means crazy. And what would end up happening is that he would have to be, if you will, like I have to be here to restore order. And then even after the insurrection, with the Republicans and Democrats all being at risk, some Democrats or Republicans are stupid and they go, I don't certify the election. Listen, and I mean this tongue in cheek, take them out back like a horse and just shoot them. I mean, if you don't like our country and our rules, I'm sure China would love to take you. I'm sure Venezuela would love you. Turkey would love you. I'm sure you could go to Malaysia. There's a bunch of places where you can go and do. And if you don't like the election, like a Putin, like he gets 97% of the vote, go to Russia. But this is right for, as of today, we're still America, right? Yeah. And with good, bad, and all its warts, then that's the democracy. If you don't win the election, shut the fuck up, go home. You know, run again in 4 years, 2 years, whatever you're running for. But don't sit there like the lady in Arizona. I can't remember her name. Not that I want to, but the Republican said, if I lose, then it was fixed. Well, you lost. It wasn't fixed. The people don't want an idiot. It's that simple. And
you're talking about Carrie Lake.
Yeah. And if I'm the president of the United States, and nobody wants that, neither do I. But if I'm the president and I'm like, go to the Capitol and go make it right, that's on me. You have to take responsibility. And you know, the government's got to stop being pussies. They've got to say, listen, you almost, wait. That's it. He could have, but he didn't. It's a treasonous act. You tried to do an insurrection. You tried to overthrow the government. Enough with this bullshit. There is no, enough. Everyone saw it. It was on television. Be done with it. And even everybody that was there was saying, they'd say, you got to call in the army, then whatever it might be, the police. And he didn't do shit. And even people were calling him, and it's in testimony. All right, well, at some point, you're complicit. Like if I go to somewhere and do something like that, Trust me when I tell you, like the guy with the buffalo thing, you're going to go to jail. Who the fuck cares if he goes to jail? He didn't start it. He listened to the Messiah. Okay. Well, it's the same with Hitler. Everyone goes, I listened to Hitler. Well, that's nice, but you have a brain. You have morals. Think about it. And the problem is when you look at all these people, their mommies told them they were special. Donnie tells them they're special, and they all go do shit. So this stuff has got to stop. Like, enough with telling everyone that you're not special. You're a fucking idiot. So go do something. But and that's the issue. And at least this election, democracy won. Now, I'm not saying if DeSantis is the Republican nominee and wins, that it's going to be as bad as a Trump thing, because he doesn't seem like he's an idiot. I mean, he does stupid shit, but he's not saying elections are false. As far as I know, he's not doing certain things. Like, he's just like, you know, take people from Texas and bring them up to Martha's Vineyard, and I put my thing in, like, hey, I go for a free trip. So that's a different mentality, and I'm okay with that. But, you know, at least he's not saying if I don't win, it's all bullshit. And he won Florida big. So unfortunately for the MAGA people and for the Trump people, I think Donnie is out. I think Donnie is going to just live the rest of his life in Mar-a-Lago, and Melania is going to do whatever Melania is going to do. And the kids will do what they're going to do. I know his daughter said she won't work on his campaign because I think she's like, I'm not going through this shit again. And that's fine. And if DeSantis becomes the Republican nominee, then let him become it. And if Trump wants to run, let him run as an independent. And this will finally be a 3-party system. And let's see who wins.
I will say, and all right, so maybe, okay, let me be clear. I'm not defending anything that he was responsible for. I guess what I'm saying is a giant man-child that I don't think
still needs to be punished, though.
Well, that's what you punish children.
Punish a child,
The difficulty I had with the situation is the man-child became as powerful. The people, that lot, let him, a child, become powerful. And there's got to be some way, somewhere there that where people go, hang on, if you're going to run for president, we need to do a psych evaluation of you. I'm sorry, you can't have that kind of person in there. You've got to have someone who wants to serve people, not himself. And anybody who's a moron, anybody who isn't a moron will go, well, he's obviously serving himself. I will say that in defense of the Republicans, and I'm going to do this again, because I'm trying to keep this on the level. I don't want to be like one way or the other, because that's why the trouble is there, because everyone's so bloody tribal. You know, okay. I don't think Trump was ever really a Republican. I have to be honest.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
He's a Republican. I don't think he's a Democrat. He's a Trump. It's me, boom. Not America first. Bullshit. Trump first.
Correct.
And that's where everybody, if I may say, got hoodwinked by this guy. He had success or whatever. Let's be honest. His dad was the guy that built the business in questionable ways, whatever. I wouldn't call him anything along the lines of self-made. Ron DeSantis, for me, I've listened to him. He seems okay. He just seems like a normal Floridian guy. Boom, Republican, bang. I don't think you got too much to worry about there. I will say that if he does get the nomination, Biden has got a problem. That would be my opinion.
I agree.
And I'm okay, but Biden is a shoo-in.
Yeah, but I agree. I mean this, and I'm just saying, and I have no problems with Republicans, Democrats, none of them. Right? I have no problems with any of these people. And I'm not trying to be tribal. I'm just there's one person that I have an issue with because he tried to overthrow the government, right?
Yep.
But if DeSantis gets in and he runs against Biden and DeSantis wins, good for you. Full stop. And I'm okay with that because you guys won an election. You know, when the hurricane happened, DeSantis and Biden were there together. And great. I mean this as gentlemen, even though DeSantis looked like a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader with his little boots and his blue jeans, and that's cute.
Oh my goodness!
But it was like, Ronnie, stop it. Anyway, but my point is that they work together, and that's what a governor does. That's what and it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're a socialist, you're a communist, you're an independent, could care less. You're a Whig Party member, which is now the Republicans, but you work with the leaders for your community. And what DeSantis did was that. The only thing I think DeSantis did, which was stupid, and with the Disney LGBTQ, can't mention that. That's ridiculous. Like, dude, church and state, stay out of the school thing. And then Disney got engaged. And now Bob Iger's back in Disney because the CEO that was there didn't know how to play that. But I'm very much like, listen, if you don't want kids to know that there's gays and lesbians and trans and whatever, you're going to be like China. You're going to stop everything on the internet because it's all there. It's in movies. It's whatever. So that's the only issue I have with him at this point. other than that, he's just a normal governor trying to make sure that his state does well. We'll see if he goes to another hierarchy, I guess, or crazy level, if he starts to run for president, starts saying crazy shit. That could all change. But if he's like a normal guy and he's like, I want the Republicans to be great, good for you. The Democrats want the Democrats to be great. I'm good with all that. But when you start saying stupid shit, or you're trying to like the Roe versus Wade stuff and all this other crap, enough. Like, let's go, like, enough. Like, we're good. I don't need you as the government. Like Oz was like, if a lady wants to get an abortion, it's between her and the mayor. Yeah, okay. Right, all right. There's going to be 500 women lining up every day to see you as mayor. I don't think you have the kind of time, or the governor, you know? So it's like, come on, dude. Use your brain. Or you could be like Herschel Walker. You just pay them to get an abortion. But the whole point of this is you got to have someone that can think A through Z. You're not going to always agree with them. And it's just a way, if you go back to every elected official from the Washington forward, you don't agree with everything they do, but at least it's the betterment of the country and a little betterment for the party. I agree with your point that when Trump got into office, it was the betterment of Trump, and America was somewhere in the bottom half of it. Of a list of 100, it was like 98, 99. It was like Trump family, Trump friends. I want to hang out with oligarchs. I want to pretend I'm an oligarch. I don't want the Russian P tape to get out. Blah, blah, and the list. And I think America was on the very bottom of that. And it's funny because when he became president, he lost his deal with NBC. He lost his clothing deal. He lost everything, right? Because he said stupid stuff, and people were like, "We're not going to do this." So, sometimes it's okay not to be famous.
Talking about something completely different. Let's move away a little bit from American politics.
Okay. FIFA. No, World Cup.
FIFA.
FIFA. Oh yeah, that's like, let's do that instead of American politics. Yeah, where do you want to start with the Qatari government there? So
yeah, no, we wanted. I'm just interested in your opinion about this whole armband issue.
I wanted them to wear the armband. I wanted them to wear the rainbow band, and when FIFA said no, I was like very annoyed with that.
Okay, and of course it was a very, very shrewd. Sorry, Roald. It was a very, very shrewd move from at least 7 football associations in Europe, where the FA and KNVB, the Dutch football authority, said, "Okay, well, it's fine." Because FIFA just said we're going to give you sanctions and all sorts of bits and pieces.
Yep. No, they're going to give me a yellow card to the team the minute they walked on the field.
That's not what happened, Steve. They said originally that they would be fined for doing it.
Right, but then it became the yellow. Then it was a yellow card.
And it changed the day of the first match.
Yes.
So just to be clear, Dave, just to be clear, I've got some idea what you're talking about. Just for people who don't know, just clear what changed. What did they say, and then what happened? Go.
Okay. Well, originally FIFA said that they weren't going to get involved in this.
Right.
The armband.
The armband thing. And before all the teams went to the 7 European football associations, before they went out to this World Cup, they said, "Look, this is what we're going to do." The team UK said, "Look, we're going to take the knee, and we're also going to wear this the gay pride armband." And then FIFA said, "Well, much rather you didn't do that, and because it's against you're not wearing the right kit and hasn't been approved before you come onto the field, and so if you wear something inappropriate on your shirt, there's a standard fine for that." So the FA said, "That's okay. We'll pay that." And of course, the FAs are all these FAs are all making a shitload of money anyway, just by getting to the World Cup final.
Okay.
And so they said, "That's fine, we'll pay that." And then at the very last minute, they then said, "No, what will happen is that the captain, because it was going to be the captain's armband, will get a straight straight yellow card when he comes onto the field."
Right.
And then we moved from the politics of football to the politics of being a footballer. And they themselves have said, "We don't want to be involved in this. And we're here."
As in FIFA.
No, the lot of the players from these 7 European countries,
all
of the captains have said, "We don't want to be involved in this. but it's also grossly unfair to think that I could just by coming onto the pitch, I get a yellow card, because a second yellow card in the match itself would mean a suspension going forward. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is this sort of, in my view, this blackmail from FIFA. But we have this mixed messaging coming in through all sorts of different media, saying, "Oh, you know, these footballers have no backbone, and the football associations have no backbone." Now, I'd like to throw that into the group, because, you know, it's a bit of a Hobson's choice, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Okay.
Well,
so okay. Yes, Steve.
No, here's my issue with that. FIFA is in Qatar, where Qataris are treating these workers like slaves. Basically, they are slaves, right? You can't leave the country. You have to. If they're slaves, point, full stop. You're a slave if you were brought in from Bangladesh or India or Nepal or wherever to work on all these stadiums. Okay, there's a whole bunch of reports on it. It's not even John Oliver the other night did a whole thing on it on his show on HBO. So if for FIFA to get for FIFA to get involved with the rainbow, FIFA should shut up. Right? They're in so much trouble with bribes and what. Enough. Like, you know what? Just because the Qatari government doesn't like gays, that's not my problem. That's your problem. And the fact that they wanted to fine them or give them a yellow card, and this is where I have a problem with this. Now, the guys that play for the Qatari national team, you're not going to wear the I got it. And I know why, right? Because you don't want to be taken out back shot and you want to be paid. But everybody else, take the yellow card. Have some balls. And this is the problem. People have no balls. And that's what this is the problem with the world, the pussification of the world. If I'm a player, you know what? I'm a player for whatever professional team I play for. I'm going to wear the yellow band. Yellow card me. I don't care. And that's it. Or you want to have real balls? It's a World Cup in 4 years. The whole team should go, fuck you. See you later. But nobody has the balls because they're all about me, me, me. And that I have a problem with. No one has balls anymore.
Is that as you know, as rainbow-colored, you know, the parts of black and white as you see it, Steve? Because
it is.
Look, it's got nothing to do with you. You are
no, that's no, that's not true.
Nothing to do with you. It's that you're a professional footballer. You've been training, and the very first dream you ever had in life was playing at the World Cup. You get a chance to do it. You have the honor of coming out as being the captain of your team. Where everybody has agreed before then. Sorry?
Who is saying that?
I'm saying that now. So you have the honor of coming out of being the captain of your team, and then you stand a chance of just getting a yellow card, simply because everybody had agreed beforehand to wear this armband. Not the whole team, though. Not the whole team.
But let me just throw this in before Roald gets to his point. Kaepernick from the San Francisco Giants, a black guy, took a knee 5 years ago, and he said, fuck you. He had balls. And what happened from that point on, other players did it. Now, granted, he was fired. He never got to play NFL again. But see, he had balls. He had a conviction. And that's what these people don't have, because their mommies told them they were special. Their mommies didn't tell them, and their daddies didn't tell them. You do what's right. You're special, but you have to do what's right. And the fact that these guys don't have the balls to go out there with an armband because they're worried about a yellow card. Hey, fuck you. You're playing professional, whatever you're playing. I don't give a shit about the World Cup. I'm making $1 million, $2 million, £10 million a year playing for my home team, you know, Barcelona or whoever. What do I give a fuck about the World Cup? It's like the Olympics. It's just mental masturbation. They don't have balls. And that's the problem. And that's why you have the problems you have with everybody hating it, because nobody stands up and says, I don't agree with this. And that's how I feel. Not that I'm passionate about it, as you can tell. Wait till we do the racial profiling next.
Yeah, but the thing is, Steve, I mean, please don't get me wrong, but I mean, is that not a very American way of looking at it?
No, that's a global way. I have friends across the globe that they've all said the same thing. Go ahead, Raul.
Well, all I want to say is if the people in this country that fought for the situation, we can moan about what's wrong with it right now, but if we didn't have people like before Cyril became the fat president he is now, there was a time when he was a freedom fighter. Mandela was a freedom fighter. These were people that fought for something. Mandela sat in jail for 27 years for his beliefs. and so on and so forth. If we didn't have those people here, we would still be where we were. All I can say is, relating to the World Cup, it's a stupid, overpaid. In my view is, now Steve says you say, is it an American thing? Well, I'm going to say no, because I'm not an American. I kind of think like one. Maybe I've lived there, I enjoy the place, and maybe being an American is being a global citizen. Fine, but I think there's a point that's being made right now. They're in a country that treats their workers like shit. This, as Steve said, it's been documented. It's not for debate. The LGBTQ community, if the government of Qatar doesn't like it, tough shit. These foreign players basically celebrating their country. They're bringing all their skill into their damn country and making that damn country money. So excuse me, who's the person that's doing the bit? What I'm saying is these footballers are here. They've got an opportunity to say something, do something. There is a tension on the country, and I absolutely think they should wear the armbands. Whether you agree with them or not is not the point. They need to have some balls and stand up for it. This change of direction from FIFA. I mean, the FIFA boss delivered that bloody monologue the other day, which was unbelievable. I mean, why would he say that crap? I'll tell you what the problem is, Dave. This is about money. This whole thing is about money. Someone that says, shut the hell up because we're going to lose money. That's all this really is. So all these guys that have suddenly go, oh, I better not do that. It's not about a red card or anything. They just worried about losing money. Now, here's the thing. If all those captains and all those countries said, excuse me, we're the top footballing nations in the world, we're going to wear those damn armbands, all right? If they all got together as a unit, what the hell would Qatar and FIFA do? There's who pays FIFA? Where does FIFA get their money from? Where the Qataris?
They got all their money from Qatar for the Qataris. 20 billion or whatever it was they paid for it. That's what.
Well, no, but the point is this: and you go back to 1968 with the three Black Panther guys that won, and they put the Black Power and they did the signal. They have balls. And what's happening year by year by year by year by year, less people have balls or guts or chutzpah, whatever you would like to say. So when Kaepernick did what he did, whether you agree or you don't agree, chutzpah, balls, guts. That's, if you're an athlete and you're a professional athlete, get your head out of your ass and you're supposed to set an example. And the problem today is, no, none of these athletes don't set examples. So it's all about me, 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 me. The ones that do, they have balls. Kaepernick took the responsibility, had balls. And I agree with your point. If these guys at the World Cup said, you know what, FIFA, screw you. What are you going to cancel it? If everybody said we're all going to wear it, every team but Qatar,
what are they going to do? What would they do?
You're not going to cancel. You're not going to cancel it, and nor are you going to give everybody a yellow card. But they're all worried about themselves.
What if all the players from all the teams wore up? Are you going to give entire teams yellow cards? And they do players leaving the field. Soon you'll have two guys left on the pitch. At the World Cup, it would be an embarrassment. But the problem is not enough of them are banding together. So it's kind of like,
well, you see how it's all been played out, because first of all it's just fine, and then they thought, well, we'll get around, we'll just pay the fine, you know. And then somebody at FIFA thought, well, no, let's not do that. Let's just see who's the most prestigious member of each team. Oh, that's right, the captain. And he's going to wear the armband. So we'll make sure that he's, that he's the one who's going to be punished.
That's fine.
For the football associations.
It's a big deal.
What if other player got a yellow card? What are they going to do?
Like I said, if they all do. Yeah, if they all wear anything, they wear it, except the Qatari team, because you know that you're getting paid by your employer, you can't wear it. And I totally get that for Qatar. Well, but if everybody else,
there are other teams as well, of course. Nigeria, it's illegal to be homosexual. Singapore, it's illegal to be homosexual.
Well, no, Singapore Singapore just changed that law. Remember, we had the poet on, and she said they just changed that law. So no, not in Singapore anymore. You can be as gay as Bob Fosse. And you can go and you can do your stuff.
There are some, of course, some other teams. But
Dave, I got to just say this.
I'm throwing this in the group here. That's all.
Sorry, Dave, I'm making a step on. Here's the reason why, for me, it's a problem. What the hell has it got to do with people? What these football that already agreed that it's not part of the kit and they'll take the fine. Stay with that. It's the changing thing. And by the way, all these people, this is a separate issue. All these tourists and people have flocked to Qatar, blah, blah, blah. And at the final minute, they say we're not selling alcohol. Are you kidding me?
That was funny. I love that. That was awesome.
That is insane. Now, all I can say
it would appear that people are a lot more passionate about the fact that there's no beer than the fact that
it's a big problem.
I know.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, this is a country of 3 million people, and it's the country's the size of a football pitch. Why is everybody giving them so much power? You know what? If they all just got the plane and switched off, just said, you know what? Look at that. What if all the players said, we're not playing? We're not playing. We're just not playing.
Gas.
Oh, but we can. No, hang on, Dave. I know what they think the consequences can be. But if all the footballers of all the nations said, you know what, until you drop this bullshit, we're just not playing. What are they going to do? They've got stadiums, hotels. They've got tourism that's going to die. So
no beer.
We made an agreement. And you changed it right at the end. Screw you. Screw you. If they don't do it, let me tell you something. Then they've got can't say anything the next time this happens. You've got to make it stand now. This is a big deal. It's a big tournament. It's very important. This isn't about football. Good Lord. This is a much larger issue. Have some freaking balls. Because if you don't have balls now, well, where's the next World Cup? Why don't, and by the way, be careful who you award the damn World Cup to. That's what
there's the USA, I think, it's the next one up. So we'll look forward to
that. Was good.
Well,
that was good.
Is that the
we
next
look forward to the
2026?
If it really is, I love football. In fact, I talk to people, they're like, did you watch the soccer game? I go, you mean the football? If you're going to watch the World Cup, America, it's called football. All right. So you say it right. Don't watch it and stop trying to Americanize everything. Jesus freaking Christ. And then I had a buddy of mine. I kept telling him it was called Adidas. He texted me yesterday. He goes, hey, I'm watching the FIFA special. They called it Adidas. I'm like, no shit, you idiot. I'm like, I just told you that. Anyway, here, the last topic of our little discussion for December 6th.
Just one last thing. Did you see the match yesterday, Steve?
I watched a little bit of the U.S.
Saudi Arabia, Argentina. Good Lord.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, they won today and gave Messi a good stuffing. That's what we.
Wow. I agree.
I'll tell you something. Annette and I spoke about this last night. If you only ever have to watch, if you had a choice, you have to pick one football game,
right?
And no, you could watch no other. I highly suggest that you go back and watch Iceland against Argentina. I think in the last World Cup, I think it was, because the Argentinians were bouncing off these rather large Icelandic people, and Lionel Messi just looked like some garden gnome. They just brushed him aside. Wonderful.
Oh God,
absolutely fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely
I love
fantastic.
it.
But anyway, the very
awesome.
last thing about soccer
Football.
America.
Yeah.
Interesting to see that he was wearing a Nike. Yeah, is that what he called it? I thought it. Nike. I thought it was a Greek god, goddess. But he just had states written on his shirt.
Yeah.
Did you see that? So what happened to the United bit? What happened to the United bit? Did Donald say you couldn't do it anymore?
I don't know. I think every state now is its own country. Apparently, I missed that during the midterm elections.
Yeah, have a look and see why would he just have states on his shirt?
Well, the nice thing is the World Cup runs through the 18th of December, and we have a show coming up on the 6th. So I'm sure we're going to get into a lot more World Cup stuff on the 6th as well. So that's going to be pretty cool. Now, I did get a
1-0 with Wales. 1-0 with Wales. That was.
I saw that. Wales did really well. I saw Wales play the U.S. Miss Kimchi chick said that she drank last night and she's not doing well because she can't drink. And I'm like, that's because you're 4 nothing and like one glass of alcohol and you're screwed. So she said that for December 6th, she is going to try to be here, her and all her kimchi. So we're very excited to see if the kimchi chicks actually shows up. That'll be interesting. But the last thing we're going to discuss, we're going to go long today and I don't care. And you both have read it. We're going to talk about a hotel in New York that we think racially profiled one of our employees. And I'm going to mention their name, and I don't care if they sue us, and we're going to be very blunt. The Manhattan in the Times Square literally racially profiled one of our employees. So here's the story, and then we can have a dialogue, and I'll actually down below put the story so people can read it if they want to. And then they're on Instagram.
So the lawyers can read it.
I want the lawyers to read it as well. So we have an employee. He works during the day at a law firm, very dapper, 60-year-old gentleman. He's black. Okay, just so we're clear. And then at night, he comes, and his second job is he works around the restaurant and does what he needs to do because he wants to make extra money. Totally cool. Nice guy, well-spoken, perfect. So one night they get done a couple of days ago cleaning the restaurant. It's late, and it's like 2:00 in the morning. And they're like, instead of going home on the train, we'll put him up in a hotel. So they go to this place, the Manhattan at Times Square, and they book the room, on the app. So when they get there, the room is ready. Cheryl walks in with the gentleman, and they look at the gentleman, and they give him this up and down with disdain. Like she said, you could just feel it. I said, okay. So I said, so what's the problem? I mean, people can look at you. So they go upstairs to the room. The wallpaper, I have pictures. The wallpaper's coming off the wall. The paint's peeling. It's disgusting. Like, I wouldn't put my worst enemy there. Like Cheryl said, our guy looked like he was basically almost a homeless guy because, you're working, cleaning the restaurant. Like, you're not dressing in a suit and a tie or nice, like you're wearing grubby clothes. So when they saw him walk in, disdain, they gave them the key. They went up to check the room, and they were like, oh, this is the worst. Then my wife said, why don't we just go downstairs and get another room? And he's like, no, I'm just too tired. Like, let's not worry about it tonight. Two Asian girls are checking in next door. And Cheryl says, can I see your room? And they open the door. And if you go to the website for the Manhattan at Times Square, that was the room. Beautiful, pristine, no wallpaper coming up, no paint, gorgeous. And then when she left, she said she saw the two people at the front desk. It's like 2:00 in the morning laughing. Like, like we got. So I'm like, that's like racial profiling. So you saw a black guy come in, not dressed in nice clothing, because you don't know what he's been doing. He's not homeless. He's been working. And you treat him like shit. And to me, that's racial profiling. And they offered to give the money back and all this other stuff. But still, why do we have to go that far? Why couldn't you just give him a normal room? You gave the two Asian girls a normal room. I don't get that. And that annoys me as well. And it's a good thing I wasn't there, as they said, because the police would have ended up having to come, and I would have videoed the whole thing live, and the show would have all video instead of a couple pictures that we can put up later. I don't get that.
Can I ask a stupid question?
There's never a stupid question.
Okay.
Or maybe this one.
there are a lot of crazy things about this, but I know this sounds odd, but why would a hotel have such different rooms?
I don't know.
Like the janitor's storeroom or something? Did they actually put him in a proper room?
No, it's a proper room, but it's
such a bad. I mean, most of the hotels I've been to, the rooms are kind of all the same. Why would there be? Was that a room that they earmarked for punking people? I don't know. Why did they have?
Listen, for what we paid that night, there's no punking. You want to punk me? They can get on their knees and punk me.
But it's just crazy that they would have such a different room. I remember you sent this to me, and I thought, look, I mean, it's shameful what they've done. We can explore that. But why have they got such a different room? Why?
Don't know.
I mean, what about health hazards, code? I mean, they could have got sued. I mean, something could have fallen off the wall and hit the guy. I mean, that's just incredibly irresponsible to put someone in such a bad room. Never mind the racial profiling thing. Just from a legal point of view, it's so problematic to put anyone in a damaged room. And from what you said, very damaged room. Could have been
they sent me pictures, and I was like, it's a shame that you guys he was too tired, because I would have gone downstairs and made a scene. And Cheryl kind of did, and they were just like, we can refund your money, we can do, and I'm like, that's not the point. The point is, why would you even put someone in a room that's like this? Yeah. And the other thing is, for all you know, this guy could be a multi-billionaire. Just because he's dressed like shit, you're profiling him because you think he's either homeless or because he's a black guy that's just not dressed nice enough for your standard. And you're not like some great hotel. You're a shit hotel for people that don't know any better. And I'm like, this is bullshit. And that just annoys me. It's like, we always talk about, you're a human being until you're not. So these two people, I mean, like if I was I would have made everything right. Like whatever you need, like here's a free something. But it was just sort of their attitude was very laissez-faire. And I'm just like, that, and I love New York City. And we know that because they pay me $1 every time I say it. But this hotel, hey, New York, there you go. This hotel, not so much. Like even it's like, we treat everybody that works for us in New York. We treat them like family. It's just the way we are. And the fact that they would a hotel would do this annoys the shit out of me. If you don't want him to stay there, just tell us point blank, we don't want you to stay there. Instead of you giving me literally a room that I said to like one of our attorneys, like you guys said, he said, we could sue. He goes, we could sue. We could call the Department of Health. I mean, like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I was just like, so why would you do it? Did you not know your room is a shithole? And what they thought was maybe every room's a shithole. But when these two girls were literally checking in next door and Cheryl's like, hey, can I look? And they're like, they thought she was crazy. Like, sure. And they looked. And she said, it's just like the website. But that room was sort of like out of like,
well, it could have been a room that they used for spillover. It could have been a room they used for their staff.
Yeah, but David, if I was getting that spillover, I would literally go downstairs and sue them at that point. I'd be like, this is my spillover room for this much a night.
There could have been very valid reasons why that room existed.
No, but there's no valid reason to put somebody in.
Reason to put a paid guest in there.
Yes, I agree.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
there is
that's a problem.
So some smart ass is going to say, well, like that, it was like fall, it was late, the checkout time.
Apparently not.
And so we just put this guy in there because the next day we were going to upgrade him. Blah blah blah.
No. They won't give you jack shit.
While there's no clarity as to what that room exists in that current state, makes it a mystery, but also gives somebody an opportunity to wriggle out of the situation.
Okay.
So, it was just we're going to upgrade it the next day.
Well, then don't put anybody in it. Then clearly it's not up to code. It's not ready. Then you say to the guy, I'm sorry, we don't have any more rooms. Simple as that.
Don't take the reservation. They made the reservation, and the Asian girls did too. Apparently, when they landed, they all made the reservation at midnight, 1 a.m. So they had rooms. People are checking in.
So there were other rooms. Do you think? And this is, and I'm just asking this almost like devil's advocate. Do you think these guys down there knew what room they were sending him to?
Yes, I do, because they didn't seem shocked when they went to the front desk.
So they sent him to that room and had a good giggle about it.
Well, I don't know if it was a giggle or if it's sort of like, one, they didn't know he was our employee. That's bad on their account. It's none of their business either. Two. So let me explain. We have the 60-year-old gentleman that during the day he works at a law firm and he's dressed to the nines, and then at night he helps clean up all these little the restaurant stuff and whatever it might be. Okay, perfect. And he wants to have 2 gigs for whatever his purpose is. No issue.
Sure.
So it's not, and he's well spoken. It's not like whatever. However, when you're cleaning at night, you are not wearing your Sunday best. You're not even wearing your Thursday's best, right? You're wearing shit clothing. So they're leaving at midnight, 1 a.m. He's like, I got to be back at 6 in the morning. Instead of, by the time he gets home and takes a shower, like you said, I got to come back. So they're like, we'll put him at a hotel. Of course, we'll put you at a hotel.
Right.
Boom, hotel. And other people are making reservations. You go. If your hotel is sold out or you have one shit room left, you don't take a reservation. And everybody knows that there's this room. So the problem I have with it is they walk in, and you see this guy that looks like he's homeless, which he's not. He's just wearing his work clothing because he just cleaned something. And you give him a room that you would give to a homeless person. I think that's where I have a problem.
Yeah, but a couple of things. First of all, we've all gone to a hotel looking like crap. Let's be honest.
Yep.
I don't wear a suit when I go to a hotel.
But you're white.
I've come. Well, precisely. That
there you go.
There's a problem. So I have come off. I don't know, 13, 12. Well, from here to there is a 15, 16 hour flight. I look like shit. I walk into I smell like you know what. I walk in, I look like crap. My hair's all over the place. My eyes are bleary. I haven't slept. I probably could look like a homeless guy. And I've never had a situation where the guy looks at the book and he goes, oh, I see you got a reservation. So he knows you're a guest because you said you'd booked this room. So there's no question.
Yeah.
So they were looking down at an existing reservation. Am I right?
Yeah, correct.
So it doesn't matter what the guest looks like. He's still booked. There he
Right.
is.
Yep.
You don't. It's not your place to even imagine what his circumstances are. It's a paid room. He's paid for it. Give him the key and get him on his way. This is
but a room, a real room.
You don't put people in rooms based upon what they look like, because
correct.
Let's be honest, all kinds of weirdos come into hotels, me included.
That's right.
And if I had been accommodated according to the way I look in hotels around the world, I would have had some pretty crap experiences, I'm sure. Yep. So as you say, this guy is well spoken. He's a slightly older gentleman. So I don't know him, but you know, he's got a bit of that. He's a little older. He doesn't look like some young kid. Did you say he works in a law firm? He
works a law firm during the day, and at night he cleans the restaurant.
He's going to come across, no matter what he looks like.
Yeah.
What's going to come out of his mouth and his presence and his demeanor and his stature is going to give you. This is a professional.
Right.
He's a professional who's cleaned his car or his closet or whatever. That's what's coming across. He's going to look, and in fact, that doesn't even matter. He could be a homeless guy. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter what he looks like or what his circumstances are. Yep. He's got a paid room. Yep. Give him the key and carry on playing on your phone, right?
Yeah,
certainly. Right. But you saying what they did is they injected their own, I guess, bias is the polite way of putting it, and thought they'd have, I don't know, some fun. Or
no, that's not fun. They were just basically like, give him the shit room because he's a homeless guy. They didn't care. No. And they didn't care apparently when they left, when Cheryl had left, because they were laughing. And I said, they may not have been laughing at you. And she goes, what else are they going to be laughing at 2:00 in the morning? And I'm like, okay, a good point. And it was sort of like, okay. So it's like they got run over.
Did you run this up the management and say, this is what happened? Did you?
No, but you know how management's about to find out when we put the show live in about 20 minutes. They're going to find out all about it. If they have any problems, they can reach out to Two Old Farts Making Noises, and we'll be more than happy to talk to them.
Okay, I'm just saying they might say, you know, maybe you should have reached out to us and we can fire these people. I don't know.
I think they're not going to get. Here's what I think. One, they're not going to give a shit because you're going to be like, so what? Two, and that's a bad thing. It's like. There people, and this goes back to balls, what we're talking about with the athletes. People don't stand up anymore because they're afraid of whatever the consequences are. They're just afraid. They all just want to go along in their little like, don't bother me, don't bother. Nobody wants to get involved. Nobody wants to stand up. Nobody wants to do anything, and that's the problem. Because if good.
How is this guy doing? How did he? I think what I'd like to know is, how did he feel? What was his feeling?
He was too tired. He was too tired.
When he woke up, how does he feel about what happened to him?
He was like, I wouldn't. He said, I wouldn't put anybody in this room. He said it was disgusting. And he said, if I wasn't tired, I would have gone down and thought and go like,
oh, so he was okay. All right. I was just
even
concerned.
He knew this. Yeah.
Right. That he was okay. I was just concerned how
he was okay. And the next morning he was just like, this is the most disgusting thing. And then they called me that morning and told me the story. And I was like, really? I said, we'll just discuss this on the show because, I mean, I was like livid. And I said, we'll just discuss. I mean, there's nothing calling management and they're going to say, oh, we're sorry. Well, it's not the money. I don't care about the money. Just treat people with respect. And they're not doing that. And I'm just like, you got a little shit hotel and you're not treating people with respect. Okay.
Has he had this before, if I may ask? Is this something that he's
first time I've ever heard that? Yeah, never.
Him personally.
Yeah, him personally. Yeah. He even said, he said that I've never, like, why would they do this? Like, he was even shocked. Like he said, when they saw the girl's room next door, that was beautiful, like the picture on the website, they were like, that's pretty. And then their room was sort of like, you know, like they were, well, I don't know what they were afraid of. Was he going to piss on the bed? He was going to piss on the floor. They literally gave him a room that if you were a homeless guy and you had no manners for the toilet or the loo and didn't know what to do, is the perfect room. And I was just like, that's disgusting. Disgusting. And it's not the money. It's treat people with respect. So unfortunately, we're going to call them out and they can do whatever they want. I don't really care. But I'm just annoyed with that. And, you know, listen, we have a few followers around the globe. And it's just, we're venting. Like we vent about everything else, the three of us. And it's just a vent. And I'm just annoyed because really, what am I going to do? I'm going to sue? No, not really. I mean, I could. Or I could call the Department of Health and complain about it and show them the pictures. But yeah, okay, they'll get a fine, no big deal. But I think people just need to know, like, hey, you don't know who you're getting at that hotel. And granted, so he's black. Who cares? I don't care if he's purple. Treat them with respect. Yeah.
He's a human being. He's a human being.
Yeah. And I have a real problem with that.
Do you think that's?
I think that's part of it. I think part of it was it's 2 o'clock in the morning, if you will. Here comes an Asian girl with it looks like a homeless black guy going to a hotel. And I don't know what they thought. Don't care what they thought. But I'm like, and the room was evident. Like I said, if they didn't see the room next door, if they would have said, oh, every room looks like that, I'd be like, I could care less. But the minute they said the room next door was beautiful, I was like, okay, this is bullshit. And the fact when they complained about it, they were all like, oh, I was like, why would you even put someone in that room? Change his friggin' room. But he was too tired. But, it's just, why do people, I don't get that anymore. I mean, I was never brought up that way. I don't care what color you are. You're a human being. And my wife told me what these people were. And I was like, oh. Now you're not human beings. I can use every ethnic slur I feel like. And that's how I felt. I was like, you're not even a human being in my eyes. The 2 people that were working the hotel that night because of what happened. And that just annoys me. That kind of ties into the rainbow thing and the this and the that. It's just literally we're getting away from people just being human. And I think a lot of it has to do with all this technology. In the olden days, you had to go out when you were a kid and play, or you had to go out and press the flesh to meet people, blah, blah, blah. Now it's all this, which is great to a point, but to another point, I think we're losing humanity. And I think that's going to be where the downfall is going to start coming, and sooner rather than later. And that's my last wish for the day.
We're suffering from the disease of lies. And we're all getting sicker and sicker by the day.
Yeah. I want to just say one thing, and it just sort of, maybe because I can see we've been on for a while, but
it doesn't matter.
It's because Dave mentioned lies. And what's interesting, for some reason, my YouTube algorithm has decided I need to watch videos about people from the Wild West. So the other day, this thing popped up, and it was a guy called Virgil Earp on the $64,000 question in the 1950s. Which anybody doesn't know was a game show, and they would ask you a question, and you could double it till you got to the $64,000 question, which is now part of common lingo. Okay, but that's where it came from. And Virgil Earp, who was Wyatt Earp's nephew, who was born in the 1870s, was on the show, I think, in 1958, about a year before he died, actually. And what was the point I'm making about the honesty thing is they had him there. He was you could see he was from a different time. He just looked different. He was just stoic and resolute. There was no BS, but he was a man. But he didn't have to be strong. He didn't have to be insulting or arrogant. He was just centered. And this is a man of 79 who his mind was as sharp as could be. And the host asked him a series of questions, because in those days, one question was a 13-part question. It was crazy. And then this, Virgil, look at this map. And then this brand, and this. Anyway, the point is, before they got to the question, they interviewed him. They said, what was life like in the Wild West? And he said, it was great. It was peaceful. He said, how was it? Because he was a lawman as well. They said, how was it being a lawman? And he said, it was really tough. And they said, why was it tough? Where was there a lot of crime? And he said, no, you could leave the door open. It was peaceful. So why was it tough? And he said, because you were judge, jury, executioner, squad car guy. You were 10, 15, 20 people all rolled into one. And it was a tough time. But he did say, he said, what he loved about that time is that everyone was honest. People were honest. A man's word was his word. Your reputation meant something. Your presence, who you were, what you were about was important. It was important to people. And you could see it was important to him. And it was like we'd had a little snapshot, a time machine. And we brought someone from, I'm not saying things were perfect then. There were a lot of things that were wrong. But you'd got an ordinary man, to some extent, from the 1890s or whatever it was, the Wild West. And he was just this very earth-centered guy. And yes, there were problems, but it's about doing the right thing, being honest, and reputation is important. None of which means shit now. Doesn't mean.
And it's sad, isn't it? It's like we used to do deals back in the 80s, the 1380s on a handshake. And now every time we do something, we call it getting lawyered up. So now when I have to do something, I literally have to have 15 people involved. And because I have to have a lawyer to do this, I have to have a lawyer to do that. I need an account. Before it was like, we're going to do a deal. You can shake hands or do something on a napkin and we're done. Now we lawyer up. And I'm just like, you got to be kidding.
It just looked like
had this endless conversation with people.
He was a proper adult. That's all I can say. That's the impression I got. Not saying he was perfect, but we don't aspire to that anymore.
All these meetings, business meetings, that people used to say, "Oh, this and that," you know, and you always got the impression that there was something not quite right, so he said, "Yeah, you know, well, you know, can you guarantee this and guarantee that?" And sometimes in business you can't guarantee anything.
Correct.
But what I used to say to people is, "Well, do you have anything to say then? You know, because we're not quite sure if we're going to do this deal with you or not." And I said, "Well, yeah, I just have one simple question, if I may ask. How many times can I fuck you over?"
Right.
And that would kind of silence the room.
Yeah.
And then most people would say, "Oh, only once." I said, well, I agree with that. So that's a great way. We agree, and that's a great base to build our relationship on.
But that's what's different. This man, if you saw this man, if you're interested, his name was Virgil Earp. He was on the $64,000 question in the 1950s. And there it was. And I don't know him from Adam. And I looked at him on this telecast and I thought, I'll trust this man. I can trust him. If he says he's going to do something, I know it'll be done. I could give him $1 million. He could be starving. He wouldn't touch a cent of it. He just wouldn't. He just wouldn't do that. And that is what is different. People will wiggle into whatever situation is beneficial to them, possibly to the detriment of someone else, and they don't care. Like the chap we spoke of in the beginning, for example.
I agree. So,
just saying.
Well,
now,
maybe it's Sorry, I was going to just say maybe it's time I wiggle out of this because
I was just going to say before we say goodbye to everybody, December 6th will be the next show, and we will. It won't be live, but we will put it up after we record it in the morning, and then in January, whatever our first show on Tuesday is with Mr. Woods, will be live.
Series
so
2.
You, the audience, will be able to join in and type questions and ask and tell us how stupid we are or how smart we are, or give us topics you'd like us to discuss. We will do that as well. Kimchi Chick, if she's not drunk or throwing up from having one shot, apparently, because, you know, little Korean girls that are 4 feet tall can't handle their booze. She will be part of it. And we will actually finally have a thing where we talk about K-pop.
Racial profiling then.
Listen, she's the one who texted me and said, "I just got up. I'm really sick from drinking. And I had one shot." I'm like, "Seriously? You had one shot and you're sick?" I'm like, "You'll have to hang with the boys. We'll teach you how to drink scotch." So, but there you go. So Kimchi Chick, better known as Rachel Park, will hopefully be with us in the next couple of shows. And then they can talk about K-pop, which in itself should be very interesting.
Yeah, well, we hope to have a regular feature in some of the shows in Series 2 for K-pop.
There you go.
And so we know that Mr. Woods is going to be giving us some interesting news topics to bite into.
And his daughter's in the K-pop. So this is why between him and Woods will be good.
There's this rivalry between BTS and her group, which is Stray Kids, and she's a massive Stray Kids fan. And I got to say, I wasn't sure about it. She played me some of the tracks. We'll talk about it in the next show, obviously, but I wasn't sure if I'd like. I got to like it. I got to say, it's pretty different. It's pretty creative. And these kids, they like the kids from Stray Kids. They're not older than mid-20s, and the body of work that they have come up with and the path that they have taken. These kids know about work. Let me tell you. I don't know what's going on in South Korea, but man,
Rachel will tell you it's a factory. Wait, it's a factory. She'll tell you all about it. Yeah,
so hard.
Oh, we're going to save. We'll save that for the K-pop show.
Yeah, we'll save that.
Yeah.
Hey, for everybody in America, if I may, happy Thanksgiving, because today is Tuesday and Thanksgiving is Thursday. So have a happy Turkey Day to everybody. And if you like our show, you subscribe, like, tell a friend. If you don't like our show, go fuck yourself. Like, I give a shit. It's not like you're paying us to do it. We do it because we like it. If you do like our show, all kidding aside, tell everybody. On Thursday, we have Miss Wild on, who'll be talking about art. Friday, we have, I think it's called The Human Fabric with Noosh. And then we have something on technology and business with Michael. So Two Old Farts is becoming sort of a television station by mistake, but you still get David and I and Roald every now and then, and some other interviews that we throw in. And we hope you like the art challenges and everything else we're doing. But really, have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Enjoy your families, and the rest of you in the world, you're screwed. Huh?
Come back for more insults.
Come back for more insults. Yes, that's what we're here for. What can I tell you? Well, guys, thank you so much. It was awesome.
Awesome, as always.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Roald. We look forward to speaking to you all again soon.
Clear.